To the point, informative, entertaining, and protecting the Second Amendment. Welcome back to Elfster's Rifles Reloading and the review of the Primary Arms GLX 2X Prism optic. Let's get this going. Now, for those that are not familiar with my channel, matter of fact, I already did a video review of the 1X Prism optic flavor from Primary Arms. And check out the description box below. I'll have a link to that video review. Once this video is done, you can check that out. And I was so impressed with that optic that I got a hold of Primary Arms, and they're cool enough to send me their 2X Prism flavor. And I thought this would be the perfect optic for my PSA Gen 1 7.62 by 39 AR pistol with a 10.5-inch barrel. And matter of fact, they have a reticle with not only the 7.62 by 39, but it also works with 300 blackout. And on the other hand, they offer a completely different reticle for 5.56, 308, or 5.45 for those guys that are running the AKs. And, you know, I feel the older I get, you know, obviously my eyesight's not getting any better. And I feel like some of these red dots are getting more and more blurry. And that's where these Prism optics really shine, especially if you're trying to beat that astigmatism issues with red dots. And I figured I'd have you guys join me on this little adventure, and we'll quick go over the specs of this optic. We'll run out to the range. We'll double check our zero at 50 yards, take some shots at 100 and run it clear out to 300 yards and double check that bullet drop compensation, see how it works. Leaves with some really inexpensive Wolf 7.62 by 39 steel case ammunition. And then we'll come back and I'll give you my impressions of this particular optic. So enough of the BS talk, let's jump right into this. Now, just to quickly go over what comes in the box here, you got an array of spacers here and screws depending on what your platform is. And I found, at least right out of the box, the installed spacer was perfect for this AR platform. You can either take this out, increase the height, or lower it down, or take it completely out and lower it down as far as possible for something like an AK. But it does come with these tools, some Loctite, a cleaning cloth, and obviously a manual to go over the optic and another manual for the reticle. Now, just skimming through the manual here, I figured some of you guys might be interested in this. You know, just a quick brief overview of the optic itself and some of the additional parts that comes with it. Obviously those different height spacers. You know, one thing, and they make it really important to make sure they got a dedicated page to this, is to make sure that you adjust this diopter. I can't stress that enough, especially with these Prism optics, to make sure that you adjust this diopter for your particular prescription. So before you head out to the range, make sure you are reading this page and getting this diopter set up just right. Kind of touching base with their illumination here, it's the 1:11 power setting. You know, they're claiming it as a true daylight bright illumination, which is made with their new narrow beam high efficiency emitter. And I would say it is pretty damn near daylight bright. It is very bright, and I was quite impressed with that. And what really makes this particular optic shine is what they call their auto live. The fact that this reticle turns on and off after 3 minutes is huge, and it increases the battery life of this up to 20,000 hours. And that's the main feature that I thought was most important with this particular optic. And, you know, I'm going to be honest here with you guys, I wasn't totally impressed with the adjustability of this illumination knob. I mean, it was suitable and it was okay. Matter of fact, it is quite hard to turn. You know, there's a lot of resistance to turning this knob, so I don't feel like it's going to get bumped out of position. But I just wish it had more tactile clicks, I guess. It seemed a little bit mushy, but, you know, I guess it was suitable. If there is a downfall to this optic, it'd probably be that, along with not having caps. I don't know why you guys didn't put caps on this. I wish it came with caps, but it doesn't. But this is the huge selling point of this auto live technology, the fact that you can increase that hour rating up to 20,000 hours, which is more than a year. I mean, every year during Christmas, just replace the battery along with the rest of your optics that have illumination. And you don't have to worry about turning this on and off. But the other page here kind of goes over these removable spacers here, depending if you're running this on something like an AR or an AK. And the features here, obviously with the 2x magnification, which kind of gives you that edge. You know, you can see those bullet impacts at 50 yards in comparison to the 1x Prism, which you couldn't, but allows you to keep both eyes open. So you can keep your situational awareness going with the field of view. And that's where I think this 2x Prism optic really shines, along with that auto on and off feature for the illumination. It does definitely have a generous eye relief. They're claiming 3.5 inches, and I would say that is very true. And what also was really nice was their adjustment values here are in 1/4 minutes of angle, not half. And I thought that was really nice also. And also coming with that lifetime warranty. Now, I just want to quick go over this reticle manual for those that are absolutely new. Now, obviously I got this mounted up with my PSA Gen 1 7.62 by 39 AR pistol with a 10.5 inch barrel, and I'm going to be shooting Wolf's steel case ammunition, which is supersonic. So I'm going to pay close attention to these bullet drop compensation values here to the left. So if you plan on mounting this up with something like a 300 blackout, especially if it's subsonic, make sure you're paying attention to the right. So we're going to run out to the range here. We're going to quick get our 50-yard zero, and according to this reticle, I can aim at 200 underneath the chevron, 300 here on the first bullet drop compensation dot, 400 and 500. And it really is that simple. It's really not much to it. And you can actually lead your target here too. You know, your average combatant running at 6 miles an hour. You can either lead them on the left or right side of this upside down horseshoe of death here, and make sure you can get that impact if they happen to be running. Now, underneath the bullet drop compensations here, you're going to notice some hash marks. Now, this has absolutely nothing to do with bullet drop compensation. It actually has everything to do with ranging. And what you can do is you can put your average combatant that's 5 feet 10 inches high, put their feet at the lower hash marks here, and if their head comes up to this point, they're 500 yards away. Your head comes up to this point, 400, and this point, 300. And actually, the width of these hash marks are important too. If they're not standing and they're shooting prone towards you, you can't gauge their height. You can actually gauge the width of their shoulders. If the width of their shoulders are this wide, they're 500. This wide, 400, and this wide, 300. And it really is that quick and intuitive. And I just wanted to touch base with that for some of you guys that are absolutely new. So enough the blabber talk. Let's head out to the range. All right, so I am at the 50-yard mark, and we are shooting Wolf Poly Performance 123 grain hollow points. It seemed to work good in this PSA Gen 1 7.62 by 39 upper, and this has a 10.5 inch barrel. So I don't expect this to be, you know, match grade ammo, but we'll see what happens. But I want to take 2 5-shot groups just to kind of double check the accuracy, see how good we are on a zero, being that this has a reticle that works really well for a 50-yard zero all the way up to 300 yards and even beyond. But let's take 2 5-shot groups and see how this goes. And I do have some people shooting off in the distance here, so you might hear that. Yeah, not too bad of a group. It looks roughly about 1.25 inches, maybe 1.5 inches. And I tell you, the ticks are out in full force right now. Hey, that's not too bad. Other than that one lower flyer, it'd be a pretty sick group. Not too shabby. All right, so went down and snagged my target just to double check my zero here. And it looks like the middle of this group is just a little high, and the middle of this group is pretty much perfect. So I think I'm just gonna roll that. Let me score this up for you guys. And I want to put a new target down at the 50-yard line. Let's take a couple more 5-shot groups and we'll head down to 100 and 300 yards. Okay, so let's take a couple more 5-shot groups just because we can, because this is inexpensive ammo that I am not reloading for, thank God. And believe it or not, I was getting this 1,000 rounds back, what, roughly 2 years ago? 1,000 rounds off of Brownells, shipped for $190 with promo code, which you never see that right now. Everything's gone stupid. So let's take another couple 5-shot groups. And I tell you, right now I'm looking through this reticle, and that 2x magnification is just perfect. All right, so I can see my bullet holes down there. I'm just gonna look through my scope here, just get a better idea. And that looks pretty much dead nut zero. Man, there are ticks all over this camera. It is about outrageous. All right, so not too bad for really inexpensive ammo. So let's move on to 100 yards. All right, so I have 10 rounds loaded up here, and I'm just gonna shoot center mass on that steel gong at 100 yards, just to see how this goes. And I'm going to aim just south of the tip of that chevron, see how this goes. It looks a little bit high, so I'm gonna aim down just ever so slightly. That is all she wrote. Let's head down and see how we did. All right, let's get this stopped. And for 10 total shots, that's not too bad. I would say the furthest two are probably right about there. So I'd say that's probably about 3 to 4 inch group. So I would say 3.5, maybe 4 minutes of angle. You know, not having an actual discernible point to aim at other than putting that chevron dead center mass of this target, I'd say that is pretty darn good. And let's head down to the 300 yard mark. Oh my God. Just put your big toe in this forest and you're gonna get a tick on it. But we got this sprayed up. We're at 300 yards and let's see how this goes. Hit record. All right, so according to the manual here, 7.62 by 39 with a bullet drop compensation. We're shooting supersonic ammunition, not subsonic. So we have a 50-yard zero here, and we should be able to use the 300-yard bullet drop compensation hash mark here. So let's see how that goes. So for those that are not familiar with, minute of angle, about the best what we're doing here at 50 and 100 yards is about, I would say about 3.5, pushing 4 minutes of angle. We'll just say 4 minutes of angle here. And I'm gonna load up 10 rounds here, so I gotta count these off. So 5, but with 4 minutes of angle, roughly represents about 4 inches at 100 yards. It's about the best this particular ammo and this firearm is ever going to do. And with that being said, that same 4-inch group at 100 yards is going to be roughly 8 inches at 200 yards. And will be damn near 12 inches at 300. And that plate down there at 300 yards is roughly about 12 inches by 12 inches. I think it's actually 13 inches by 13 inches. So this is going to be a really, really good test of this particular optic with this particular ammo and firearm. So I am going to just put that 300-yard hash mark dead center of that plate. And I'm going to see if I even hit it. Should have heard it, and I didn't hear anything. And I hit it dead center. I don't think you can get any more center than that. Wow, that is pretty damn awesome. It's weird that I couldn't even hear it though. Let's keep on going. Yeah, I could hear that one. Earmuffs are too good. That is all she wrote. And that looks like some pretty consistent impacts here, especially dead center mass. So, you know, I would say this is about 1 foot, like right here. So I would say this is about 13, 14 inches. So I would say this is roughly a little over a 4-minute of angle target, which I think this is pretty damn good here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got a feeling 2 might have dropped a little low here. Not totally sure on that until I could check out that video footage, but it very well could just be the ammunition. Remember, this is just really cheap Wolf inexpensive ammo. This isn't, you know, brass casing, match grade, 7.62 by 39. No joke, I was getting this for 1,000 rounds shipped for $190 roughly 2 years ago. And I would say the bulk of those impacts here are dead center mass. Maybe I could aim just ever so slightly higher. And that very well could just be the ammunition. Maybe some of those rounds have a little less powder than the next. I think if I was to do this again, at least with this particular ammunition, I'd aim up ever so slightly higher. Matter of fact, I think I'd take another 10 shots. And I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to aim up ever so slightly higher and see how it goes on the second attempt. So let's try this again. I'm going to aim up. When I say ever so slightly, I mean ever so slightly. It's pretty much going to be the same aiming point as last time, but a hair higher. So let's try this again. But for minute of man, I would say that is more than enough. And I feel like I got a damn tick on my neck. Ugh. I shot right over the top on that one, and I got a tick literally crawling in my face. They are literally everywhere. All right, that's it, straight through. I don't know what it is about this time of the year, late spring. These frickin' ticks are in force. Let's head down. All right, so let's get this paused here. I don't have a tape measure and I don't have a quarter on me. Let me see if there's anything over here I can use for reference. Matter of fact, I know these squares are exactly 1 inch. So I'll just use that. That'll definitely work. But you know what? I would say most of those hits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9. I'm pretty sure one went over the top, and I'm pretty sure that would be completely ammunition. That's not me. Definitely not the optic. You gotta remember here, we are working with very inexpensive wool steel case ammunition. But that's really impressive. You know, I got my 50-yard zero, and I would say that is definitely minute of man. So that is awesome. So I'm gonna hold this up here, snap a picture, and we'll score this up back at the reloading room. And I am gonna get out of here before I get any more freaking ticks. I'm sure there's at least one on here somewhere. Looks like we're good to go. God, I hate ticks. If it wasn't for Lyme disease, I wouldn't be so freaking worried about them. I'll be a pig. Well, I would say I am more than impressed with the results out at the range. We got some pretty decent groups here at 50 yards. You know, double checking our zero to make sure that bullet drop compensation works. And obviously our first shot right at 300 yards, dead center of that roughly 13 to 14 inch plate at 300 yards, more than impressed. And I'm sure you'd have to play around with that a little bit depending on whether you're using something like more higher velocity match grade ammo or more inexpensive wool steel case ammunition. But at least for minute of man or minute of deer, I think it's more than suitable. Well, my only negatives to this optic, I wish that this illumination knob was a little more tactile. It seems a little mushy, but it's not really a big issue, I guess, to me. The illumination knob is very difficult to turn, so I don't feel like that's going to get bumped out of position. I'll try and hold this up to my microphone, see if you can hear this. So it's really not that tactile, but not really a big deal. But my only real negative to this optic is it doesn't have caps. Why you guys didn't put caps on this thing is beyond me, like your 1X flavor. I guess I could hunt down some Butler Creek caps, but it should just come with caps in my opinion. I like the fact that it has the 1/4 minute of angle adjustments here and that you can make the adjustments with the caps itself. Huge adjustment on the diopter here, so you can get this set up for a particular prescription, and everyone's prescription is different, so make sure you get that done. Huge eye relief. Had absolutely no issues with getting an adequate eye relief on here, so I didn't feel like I was going to get a black eye, especially with higher power cartridges like 7.62 by 39. That definitely wasn't an issue. Illumination was great. Reticle is very, very clear. But like I said before, where this thing really shines is its situational awareness. You get that edge of having the 2X power, so you can obviously see further distances, but you can keep both eyes open. Like I was making those shots on that steel plate while I was on the run and gun. Absolutely no issues with keeping both eyes open, so I can keep that situational awareness, my field of view open. And that is where this is really going to shine, especially for those guys that are deer hunting. You can use that illumination for dusk and dawn. That would be perfect for that type of setup. Other than that, that is about it. Really impressed with the mount. The mount is very, very rugged, and the overall construction of this optic seems very, very solid. So definitely an A+ rating for me, other than not having caps. So if you enjoyed this video, you enjoy my content, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Hit that notification bell. When you hit notification, make sure you hit notification all. Become a Patreon, it helps out more than you know. And I will see you guys in the next video.